Continuing in my series of Saturday Superlatives, I'm going to move on to tight ends and wide receivers. And stop me if you've heard this one before. Kyle Pitts is back. 5 catches, 99 yards, a touchdown. No, 3 touchdowns, sorry. 1 touchdown. He doesn't get out of bed for fewer than 2 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns, back from that scary concussion and looking like himself again. He's a beautiful player to watch. That's just the word, beautiful. I also want to shout out a maybe less artistically beautiful but still very effective quarterback, Charlie Kolar of Iowa State. 6 catches, 131 yards, and they had no answers for him. He just ran wild and free over the middle, and obviously it won't be like that for them every week, especially since he shares the load with 2 other really talented tight ends. They have a lot of tight ends at Iowa State, but this guy is one of them, and he deserves to be mentioned. Moving on. Stop me, you've heard this one before. Clemson, they've got receivers. Who knew? Right? But this is one of the sort of developmental guys with the arrow pointing up is Cordell Powell. 6 catches, 176 yards, and a touchdown, and he showed you speed, he showed you a little bit of power, and he showed you body control. He's got the stuff you look for. Another guy who's got a lot of those same qualities, though not quite as well known, is Mississippi. Well, he is probably as well known now, finally. But Jaden Walley at Mississippi State, and who's become the favorite receiver there, and he should be. He's special. 9 catches, 176 yards, and once again, a guy that just finds a way to get open, even when the defenses are rotating coverage to his direction. Alabama, once again, stop. You've heard this one before, but DeVonta Smith. I know he's not going to test through the roof, but I'm telling you, this is going to be a guy who's going to kill in the slot at the next level. 7 catches, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns, and once again, sort of a ho-hum domination once again from DeVonta Smith. But he's got those same qualities that allowed Antonio Brown to be Antonio Brown. And I'm not saying he is Antonio Brown because Antonio Brown is one of those guys that defied all the odds, 5'10 and an eighth, 179 pounds, runs 4.57, 33-inch vertical. Like, none of his numbers are great in terms of testing, but he was super productive, and guys that are super productive often find a way to stay super productive. Moving on. Terrence Marshall, who is not a guy who will struggle with the testing process when his time comes. But 10 catches, 134 yards, a touchdown, and despite the struggles at the quarterback position at LSU, he's looked good every week. Moving on. Another tight end, Brad Otten. Now, Brad Otten is Sid Otten's grandson, and I believe he's related to, I just called him Brad, didn't I? But yes, Kyle Otten, I believe, is either his uncle or his father. I'll have to double check, but he comes from a football family. He's a terrific tight end. He can block a little bit, which is blocking fine for nowadays. 8 catches, 108 yards, 2 touchdowns, and shows you a little bit of route running. He's like a better version of Gavin Escobar, for those who remember him. Here's another player that I wish people were getting more love. I sort of whined about Dustin Crum earlier. Dwayne Esbridge. First of all, he plays both ways. He plays some defensive back as well as wide receiver, and he's a terrific return man on top of it. So I guess he plays 3 ways, really. But he had 7 catches for 134 yards, and I'll get to his receiving, his returning prowess when I get to the special teams area. But man, if he ends up with the right situation, the right team, he's going to be really, really good at the next level. Here's a guy that I first noticed early in the season but didn't really, really love, but he's warming up to him, is Sam Pickney at Georgia State. He has become, I guess, really their number 1 receiver there. And I mentioned his quarterback earlier. He's become the favorite receiver of Cornelius Brown IV. 10 catches, 126 yards, and once again, a guy that made a really nice body control catch near the sidelines for about 27 yards. That was in a key spot. Speaking of guys that have great body control, Tylan Wallace. Whew. I am a really, really, really big Tylan Wallace fan. And he's a guy that, because there's so many good wide receivers, may slide into the 2nd or maybe even the 3rd round, but some team's going to get a massive steal. If he went to a place like Seattle and became their 3rd wide receiver. But 7 catches, 129 yards, a touchdown, and that's one of those guys that, just has all the craft, right? a lot of these guys we're talking about are freaks and they're doing tremendous things, but they don't really have all the fine points of the position. That's not an issue with Tylan Wallace. He understands. He's a craftsman at the position. Okay, Isaiah McCoy, another guy that I kind of noticed early in the season. So Kent State had a couple of receivers that I like, and he is the one that I like the most. 5 catches, 137 yards, and a touchdown. And then his partner, Jashawn Polk. Polk may be the guy with the greater upside, though he's not my favorite, but he's the one that may end up being better down the line. But the guy that I would take right now would be McCoy. But Polk had a great game as well. 7 catches, 124 yards. And there's so many wide receivers. Like, I could literally do half an hour, but nobody wants that. So I'll close off here with my Saturday superlatives at the pass-catching positions.